Hello, everyone. This is the new episode of XenoChat. I am Tyler, one of the co-hosts, along with my other co-host, Justin.
Hello, everybody.
And we have two guests today. One of them is Kat.
Hello.
And the other is Mary.
Hi.
All right. So today, based on our poll we ran a little while ago, the topic is love and the Xeno series. Before we go into that, though, let's get news out of the way. There really isn't that much news. The one thing there was the Cosmos version 4 extra coding figurine that's having a re-release. Looks like it's coming out in October.
Is that the Kotobukiya one?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm always really torn on those figures because on one hand, Kotobukiya, they always release figures that look really great, but they can be a pain in the ass to build. At least maybe I'm just really bad at it.
I'm not so much of a builder myself, so I usually skip those.
Yeah, because that scale one you got was Kotobukiya, wasn't it?
It was, and yeah, it took me a long time to build that thing. It's nice, but I am always afraid of knocking it over because I've done it before, so I don't want that to happen again.
Well, in a way, it's kind of a good thing that I'm not a builder, because now that I'm into Gundam, it could be dangerous.
Yeah.
Oh, snap! You're into Gundam?
Yeah. Like, I started watching with a friend, like, a few months ago. And, yeah.
We will have this conversation later.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm really bad at building figures, because I haven't even started building the Telos I bought in Japan, and I'm just really intimidated.
Yeah. Good luck on that.
Thank you.
If anything, you can set up a call and we'll cheer on you.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Live tweet.
That would be awesome. Moral support.
Yeah.
All right. Other than that, E3 is coming up, and well, we don't know if Microsoft will have anything there, but that would be pretty great. When is E3?
Crossy fingers. Crossy fingers. E3 is, I think, next weekend. Let me confirm.
Something like that. I'm always like, it's somewhere in June, but I always forget where.
Okay, alright, so E3 goes from June 11th to June 13th.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
I think that week I'm gonna die, because I'm just gonna be like, please announce something.
Yes. Okay.
I feel like if we're going to get a Xeno-related announcement, it would probably happen at Tokyo Game Show as opposed to E3.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they don't drop much Xeno stuff at E3, but sometimes we get a nugget.
Well, sometimes do.
Well, didn't like the Monado original trailer premiere at E3?
I don't remember.
Didn't we have stuff too for X and Blade 2 as well? It appeared at E3 a few times.
I seem to remember Takahashi being at one E3, but I don't remember which one.
Nice.
I might have also imagined it. So
I don't know if Nintendo's also gonna maybe announce a new Zelda-ish teaser, but it sounds like it's still early, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But I also feel like
we do know that people are working on things.
Yeah.
Yep,
I also feel like that if we're gonna see something from Nintendo, it would probably just happen during a direct. I just feel like they wouldn't necessarily wait for E3 to reveal it.
Yeah.
Well, here's hoping that Bamco might, hint, put out a Xenosaga HD. Yeah. But you know, I still...
A freaking port anywhere would be nice, because it's just like, it's so painful to see how, like we said this before, it's so painful to see all of these new fans that cannot play this.
Yes.
What would be really crazy would be if Astral Chain, which is coming out soon, if that releases, and then, like, you see Takahashi's name in the credits.
I know, right? Like, whenever
wouldn't that be insane?
I was like, is that something new from Monolith? Oh, no,
right.
it's not.
It does look really good, though.
Oh my goodness,
yeah,
I cannot
really.
wait to play it.
Yeah, definitely. I know, I'm surprised that Takahashi's name isn't all over Deus Ex, Demon Ex Machina.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one too.
Which I can't wait for that, which is supposed to come out
Yeah.
soon, but I don't remember if they said when exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
I can
have the
remember
demo.
there was a few things that they needed to fix from the demo, but I don't know how. Maybe they'll show more at E3 of like what they did to fix some of the instability and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Astral Chain and Daemon X Machina are the two things I'm really hyped for, and then I'm hoping for something Monolith Soft related, but if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to be too sad, but
Yeah.
but
Though personally,
Yeah.
I'll probably not play new games till after my con season because I'm gonna die on cosplay.
all right. Is there anything else, E3 expectations or any other news that anybody wants to share?
No.
No, I think that's good. We're just pretty much crossing finger and hoping that some stuff is announced.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
So I guess with that, we could move on to the next topic. And Tyler, I guess you can tell us, what is love?
Baby, don't hurt me.
Don't hurt
That's
me.
exactly what went through my head.
No more.
Come on, we have to make at least one of those references at some point in this podcast.
It's okay. But yeah, the topic today is love. And the Xeno series from Xenogears to Xenoblade 2, there's definitely many different relationships, whether it's like unrequited love, everlasting love, familial love, etc., etc. So, friendship. There's lots of love in the Xeno series. And we're gonna just start from the beginning, kind of discuss some of the kind of the biggest love and different types of love within Xenogears. So as far as that goes, I think I don't know how much we discussed it in like the Xenogears episode because that was forever ago, but I think we probably should, probably start with the biggest love story in Xenogears, which is Ellie and Faye.
Yeah, definitely. Although a lot of details are kind of hazy for me for Xenogears, so like I'm gonna put in the stuff that I know, but I'll let you guys probably take the lead on that one.
Well, I mean, It's a great love story because think of it this way: you're experiencing love at first sight when the person you love is pointing a gun at you.
Yes, definitely.
That's a good one.
Gun reacts only.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, let's, I guess we can talk about Faye and Ellie and their love that literally extends through time and space.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, ever since the Eldridge crashed on that planet, Faye and Ellie have came together through multiple different lives and had various relationships throughout across time, so that their relationship is pretty substantial to even the history of Xenogears.
Yeah, though I think the most funny part about their relationship is how, like, that they love each other, but like for the longest time they're just like, oh no, kind of like they often have these moments where they kind of get close, and then something happens, and it just breaks their mood. It's just like no. Because both of them are kind of shy beans from what I've seen. So.
Yeah, like most of the time, the big like moments in their lives that should be happy are interrupted by Ellie getting killed.
Yeah.
But I like to headcanon that there are a bunch of lives that Faye and Ellie have to the side that aren't gone over because they're the boring ones that nothing happens in, but are happy.
they're just husband and wife and have a normal life.
But nobody wants to listen to that.
No.
It's boring.
Yeah, this is weird to say, but I had a dream a week or so ago where I it was about a different life of theirs. I don't know why I had that dream out of the blue, but it was
that sounds cool though.
Yeah, but I tried to write it down, but the details were really, really weird. But it was interesting though.
That's definitely interesting.
I don't usually focus on protag relationships, so I'm a bunch of question marks here, but I do like the symbology of, the whole, statue of the two people. One of them has the one wing and the other one has the other.
Yeah.
It's an interesting piece of art, but as I've grown up and seen people become codependent in these situations, it kind of, I can't have the childlike nostalgia of, oh, this is so beautiful, without thinking of the darker intonations of it. But it's still a really cool piece of art, and it's still a cool story.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a rather unique one, I think, for Square RPGs of the era, because maybe I'm wrong, and somebody can let me know, but I think Faye and Ellie is the most intimate that we've ever seen two protagonists be amongst each other in a game from that era.
You are correct.
Definitely.
I was alive and playing it live as it was happening. Nobody was as on screen as close as Faye and Ellie, because you see all of it, just about.
Yeah.
Yes, all of it. Wink.
All of it.
Yes, you do. I mean, I can't think of another Squaresoft game before or since where you actually have two characters have sex with each other. And it's actually shown.
Yeah.
If somebody can let me know if there's another Squaresoft game where that happens, please do.
I'm blanking, but I'm sure there's something somewhere.
Yeah, some obscure Super Famicom game that I need to play.
We gotta hit up Pure. Pure might know.
Maybe.
Yeah, Pure definitely has cells from that cutscene, or just original sketches.
We always reference Pure, I think last episode we also did.
Yes.
At some point.
We were fearing that we were saying something, or David was fearing he might have been saying something that wasn't correct, and Pure would unleash his wrath on him or something.
Rawr. So, shall we move to the next pairing?
Yes.
So,
unless you guys have more to say, sorry.
No.
No.
Please go on to another character.
So, Bart and Margie, because they're kind of pretty close, and well, I always feel like it's kind of that kind of relationship where you have Bart that's kind of acting like Bart, being pretty much all over the place and being a bit not exactly stupid, but just acting like Bart would do, and you have just Margie being stop. Margie, I feel often Margie's a bit the second singer, because she pretty much tries to stop him whenever he goes too far. But
Valid.
yeah, but also find the interaction to be very cute, and how Bart pretty much go and save her, and she was oh, I knew you would come, and stuff like that. They always have that mutual trust to each other, and they work well together in most cases. So I think it's a very cool relationship they have. It's very cute.
They kind of remind me of Yuri and Alice from Shadow Hearts in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't play that one, so I can't say. But go ahead.
Yeah, Yuri is very Bart-like, and Alice is much more reserved. Alice is much closer to, say, Amelia, but I see it.
So
I don't know how I feel about Bart and Margie, because aren't they cousins?
Yeah, I think they
yeah,
are.
but we're also talking more about their relationship in general. Like, it doesn't need to be like an actual pairing per se, love pairing per se, but
all right. So
like,
then
they are like royal intendeds, and
Yeah.
I think in Japan there is a trope where it's okay to like your cousin or something. Like I don't buy into it, but I do know that it is that
yeah.
popular trope in Japan.
I
But
guess
either way, they're very close to each other.
I guess
Anyway, so
what we should probably do is we should specify the kind of relationships we're talking about, just so
Yeah.
we can prevent the angry emails from pouring in.
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, we should probably specify like that
But-
we're not necessarily just talking about romantic relationships. We just
Yeah,
want to talk about characters
yeah.
that have some sort of special bond amongst each
Oh,
other,
yeah.
whether that be romantically, it could be platonic, it could be like a sibling type of thing. That's what we're really talking here. We're just
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about character interactions and bonds.
Oh yeah, I know, but I was just mentioning because Margie sometimes seems like she has more of just a familial bond with Bart.
Yeah, definitely. To be honest, like I would ship it because they're really cute together. But at the same time, I do know that they're kind of cousin and stuff, but they are intended to like marry each other technically. So
Oh boy.
I just came back from Game of Thrones, so I have seen
Okay.
worse, and so there are like both of these kids are very cute, and they interact in cute ways. They do feel legitimately like family, and they're pro tags, so I don't know enough about them to really say too much. But these kids sure are cute.
All right. No,
Okay,
I'm
so-
sorry. I'm sorry I took this into a weird route. I'm sorry.
no, it's
You can we can cut it out in post if you want.
Oh boy, this episode's gonna get us in trouble.
I'll just stop. I'll just stop.
Okay, so next one, Citan and Yui, which we don't see that often.
Yes, like all of Satan and Yui's interaction happens off screen. Like it's I think told or in some book somewhere. But Yui is actually the daughter of one of the Shivat sages, and she was actually like in battle against Satan when she met him, and they had this like really like vibrant sounding rivalry that turned into love, and they have a child, but you see none of it
That sounds
in
so.
Xenogears.
That sounds so intense and awesome.
I know,
Yeah.
it's like it's kind of like on the level if Margulis was a lady and Jin, like, if they cut out Pellegri, if Margulis was a female character, and they did that thing with that. But, I'm gonna get myself in trouble because I also love Pellegri. Anyway, I'm digging a hole deeper, so I'm just gonna stop talking now.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Somewhere out there, Pure is screaming.
No.
That's funny. So, next, Ramses and Faye, because of the fact that he's so like freaking obsessed with Heidi. But it's not exactly Faye, but yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that that's love per se. That's
No.
definitely obsession. It's sort of like I get into lots of spats with my sister because she's like I can't surpass certain things about my sister, and I just like
Yeah.
fly into a rage sometimes. Like no sisters were harmed in the making of this, but I think. Part of the reason I glom on to Ramses is that I understand the boiling rage of
Yeah.
not being able to rise to something because of who you are, and like I think after the big stuff in Xenogears happens, I hope that he remains calm and chooses to learn more about who Faye actually is instead of the person that he thinks he is, because Ramsus doesn't know Faye. Ramsus knows what id did.
Yeah, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still that obsession level was I'll put it on the list in case. But
I see it though. I see it.
But I guess next one, Ramses and Yang, because they do have a relationship going.
Thanks, I hate it. I mean, I think this is the whole reason that I distrust the whole your soulmate thing. But what if your soulmate is Miang, or what if you're stuck with Miang? Because during the entire thing, I will say this up front before I get in trouble here. Miang is one of the greatest Square villains of all time. But as a character, and as somebody who spends too much time in Ramsus's head, I don't like her with Ramsus. Because it's extremely abusive.
So abusive and toxic. Yeah.
Yeah, and anybody who's been strung along by anybody, it just I can't even words it right now, but it's also the sort of bittersweet part about it is that they're both very beautiful people. Their silhouette together is very striking. You look at them and you can tell, okay, these are important characters.
Yeah, definitely. You're whoa.
Yeah. It's you can't sit with us at the cool kids table. Buffy.
And then
yes.
And another instance where there was a sex scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was more implied, but when you see Ramsus get up in the middle of the night in Speedo, you can kind of tell what was going on there.
Yep. The next one is more of a funny one. Faye and Choo-Choo.
Choo-Choo really loves Faye.
Yeah.
Choo-Choo does really love Faye.
It just runs after him and he's no. But
because, of course, the obligatory mascot loves MC trope.
Definitely.
Yeah, as it was happening, I really wasn't expecting Choo-Choo to be lovelorn for Faye, but it made her a little bit more of an interesting mascot. Maybe I don't know.
It's a cute mascot, though.
I mean, it could be.
And she died for our sin.
Choo-Choo died for our sins.
It could be worse. It could be like Persona 4, where Choo-Choo turns into someone, like a person.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
She
oddly enough, I haven't seen any Choo-Choo Gajinka fan art. And if I haven't recognized it.
You haven't been looking in the right space.
I guess not.
You're giving me cosplay ideas now.
If you have a Choo-Choo Gijinka art, like, comment, subscribe.
So, the next one is... That one is a bit fuzzy in my head, but I still put it because I remembered it was a bit of a thing. There was a kind of Bartley-esque thing going on between Faye / ID and Emeralda, but I don't remember all the details because it's kind of fuzzy.
Well, because Emeralda is technically one of Faye's past lives kind of daughter, kind of.
Yeah, she's definitely a daughter.
Much.
Yeah, Kim, and was the Ellie from that?
Yes.
Okay, because his name changes and her name is mostly the same except for Sophia.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, she stays the same, and Faye ends up with 9,000 other names.
But yeah, I did find that to be their relationship to be really touching, especially Even when Faye knows nothing about his past, but Emeralda's just tags along, and yeah, it's pretty sweet relationship.
Yeah, it was cute.
Yeah.
That much I remember.
Which was kind of weird that she didn't she not really like get too close with Ellie though, or
Yeah, she was kind of like standoffish with Ellie. I'm not sure if that ever resolved because I don't remember protag things.
I think it does get resolved after a while. It's just at first she's kind of cold toward her.
I think she calls Ellie old, and Ellie takes offense. But once Ellie like taps into her past life and becomes the Kwisatz Haderach, she's just cool with it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. Okay.
You like my Dune joke, kids?
Yeah.
So next one is basically again the father kind of relationship, Billy and Jesse, which is a pretty cool relationship. Even though like they kind of well, Billy kind of hates Jesse at first.
Yeah, but he grows based on the knowledge that he gains throughout the thing, and like it's a really interesting plotline because here
definitely.
Billy is like completely deceived his entire like perception of his family, lied to by Stein the entire time, and it turns out that his father, the one that he hated the most the entire time, was doing the best that he could and doing the most that he could like from the time. And I think one of my favorite quotes from Jesse, one of my favorite quotes from Xenogears is from Jesse, and that's God lives in you. It doesn't matter if the faith is, well, now I'm paraphrasing, misquoting, but it doesn't matter if the Ethos Church is a front for something fake. What matters is the faith that you have.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I thought their relationship was really strong, especially, because Jesse didn't really go out of his way to tell Billy, like, the full truth, but he was doing everything for both Billy and his sister the entire time.
Yeah, definitely. But there was also that moment where, I think it was when Jesse supposedly died, but then kind of came back. Like, everyone was shocked, and it was just like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah. I mean, his mech turned into a gun. That was pretty, for Billy to shoot, that was pretty epic.
Yeah, it was pretty much like, well, that was dangerous.
Yeah.
I think they concepted it without really like doing too much with the story for it. It's just like, oh hey, by the way, I'm your gun. Here you go, son.
Yeah, shoot me into the enemy. I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Totally.
Best father.
Indeed. Yes. He's really cool. I really love Jesse. So, next one, the friendship of Bart and Faye. Because, I mean, that kind of is like, the relationship is a bit weird, but sometimes they're kind of best bro. So, like, they get pretty close.
Yeah, but I always felt like Bart and Faye's relationship was among the more boring ones. More so because it was just kind of standard to me.
Yeah,
not a lot of it really stuck out. It's kind of just like, okay, you're just the next guy you get in your party, and he's just gonna have your back.
Yeah, it's just, I still find their interaction kind of funny, though.
Yeah, I think Bart spent a lot of time trying to win Faye over, but Faye was just sort of like, the entire time. And
pretty much.
It's like they grew together as the story progressed, but then they sort of like dropped the buddy comedy between those things.
Yeah.
But I think that whole segment where Bart pretty much tries to win Faye over is what's the most interesting, because it's usually like the interactions that are the most funny. At least to me, they were funny.
Faye at the beginning of Xenogears is very tsundere. It's just like, I don't want to get in the gear. I don't want to be friends. I don't want anything. I don't want anything. And then he comes around and like does the thing.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, it sounds like you're talking about Evangelion. Oh no, not gonna.
Let's not get there.
Well, this is where it deviates from Evangelion because he gets in the fucking robot.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Next one. Again, kind of Bartley-esque, like, figures, like, how Sigmund and Maison are pretty much, like, acting toward Bart, because, I mean...
Yeah, definitely.
They're kind of like the voice of reason of Bart.
Mm-hmm.
I love Sigurd and Mason as characters, and I love how they sort of play off of Bart's like complete brashness, and it's like somebody has to keep him from eating plastic.
Indeed, it's pretty much that.
He
But
needs
also, like, you can see how much like they really love Bart. They really care, and they really like want to keep him out of danger or trouble, even though he's a pro at putting himself into trouble.
Yeah. I also love Mason's tea wizardry.
Oh, yes, definitely. So
Yeah.
the next one I kind of wrote it, but I was like, I don't fully remember everything, so I'm just gonna put it there. But Krillian obsession toward Ellie, but at the same time it's mostly because she's kind of the mother or something like that, and he's more obsessed on a scientific kind of standard, I guess, but it's still kind of like, oh my god, I love my subject or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm actually glad that you wrote this one down because, like, half of the conflict in Xenogears is because of Krellian's unrequited love for Ellie, Sophia, etc. Like, I think it's the only thing that tries to butt up against Faye and Ellie's, like, soulmate thing. And in a way, it's kind of unfair, but also Krellian got really creepy about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, really creepy.
Do not interact, Krellian. I mean, no.
I definitely see Krillian as a yandere kind of type.
Yeah, he's very yandere. As an understatement. Like, didn't he at one point try to cultivate her DNA type or something?
I think so.
I don't remember that too much.
Maybe.
I can't remember exactly.
Yeah. It's like, it's super creepy.
Yeah.
Creeper danger. But yeah. Anyone else want to add something on this one, or?
Not for this one, no.
Okay.
I don't have much to say.
Next one is, it's just in next segment, is Rico and Faye kind of bro moments within the prison segment, because, I mean, let's face it, that's the only place where Rico gets anything.
That's the only spotlight he gets.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately for Budget Blanca, that was the only thing in that game that I remember that actually where he actually had some sort of relevancy to. And it's such a shame because he was actually a pretty cool character during that segment.
Yeah, definitely.
I really, really, really liked that part, especially like you had the tournament too going on, and then you were escaping. That was so fun. And then he just gets sidelined.
And also, he is like the heir to all of Kislev, right?
Yes, he is. Yeah, which.
Yeah, they just drop that and walk away.
Yeah, it's like such an important moment, and it's just like nothing.
It's like, we have Bart and we have Rico. We could completely nullify the Ave Kislev conflict right here, but they don't.
Yeah.
All we get is a really bad sewer dungeon out of it.
Yep.
Well, we do get some romance-ish between Faye and him, because they do pretty much like team up to try and get out. And
they did have really good chemistry. It's just sad that once they get on the ship, Rico just kind of stays in that room for the most.
Get on the ship and get shut down by Bart.
Yes, that was pretty funny.
I just find it funny how we're like talking about how they had like great chemistry and there's a romance between them as they're bonding through a prison.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Hey, that was your words, not mine. Just saying.
Come on, guys. We're just saying that pretty much with no intention toward that place. Okay, so...
Moving on.
Moving on. Something that you had at Cadmus.
Yeah.
Ramses and the Elements.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you go on that.
Alright, I'm gonna go, and I promise not to, talk for an hour. Alright, so Ramses has this thing that he does. He finds someone that's been rolled off the sidewalk, like a turtle, knocked onto its back, and he goes around saving these turtles, and they turn out to be, these incredibly, mega talented things, and in a way, for certain people, I'm pretty sure, at least some of the Elements see him as a fatherly figure, and sort of their love is very agape. I'm dropping the buzzword. Definitely the exceptions to that, Dominia, and I think Sigurd, because, Ramses Sigurd forever! But not really, honestly. But yeah, there's not a whole lot of good to Ramses, as he comes to us, within the running storyline, he's sort of, given up and is Miang's kind of arm, given some sort of, given enough freedom to think that he's free, but, basically, a lot of his, stuff is, he definitely does and wants to do good in the world, and, at the end, when Satan slaps him, after he kills Miang, and he's going on about how he doesn't have anything anymore, and it's Satan slaps him, and he's like, "Bitch, what about your girls? Your girls! Think about your girls!" And I think about his girls every day, because they're wonderful and I love them. But yeah, just I think if you see the Elements as just his bimbos, it cheapens it a little bit. I don't think all of them see him romantically. Depending on your fan fiction, you could, but there's a lot to be said when you have a senpai helping you, whether it's at work or school or something. That relationship is valuable too. I think we put too much worth into romantic only, because there's all these other types of love, and it's also valuable.
Yep, definitely.
Yes.
So, did we want to have more in the Xenogears, or do we move to Xenosaga?
I think we've covered enough of Gears, and it's worth jumping into Saga.
Yes.
Alright. So,
Okay.
if you have not played Saga, do not go forward. Skip this part.
Yeah, and I mean,
So-
I know there's a certain mutual acquaintance who is streaming Saga. So,
yeah.
If you're listening and you know who you are,
Called out.
tune out now. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think, since we've already had a Shion episode, I think real quick we should probably kind of gloss over Shion and her relationship with 3 other characters, which are Cosmos, Alan, and Kevin.
Yep.
So definitely there's each of those relationships has is a different kind of love. Because for example, Shion and Kevin's kind of a toxic kind of love.
Yeah, definitely.
And Shion and Alan's more of the unrequited love. And then Shion and Cosmos, that's not a love that's
there's a lot of there's a lot of ways to read Shion and Cosmos. And they're all interesting. They're all valid. But you know more about these things because they're protags. Go on.
Oh no! I mean, because for a while, you do kind of get like a mother-daughter kind of relationship about Shion and Cosmos, but then it kind of evolves a bit more as the series progressed. I mean, it's not really. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Nothing's like outright said, like about them being like more than friends or anything like that. But their interactions.
Their interactions can give a bit more to it, kind of.
Yeah, it definitely feels like throughout the series they weren't sure if they wanted to push the mother-daughter route or the girl-girl relationship. They're lesbians, Harold. But when Xenosaga first came out, I came out too, and I was like, oh, this is this obvious thing that they're doing with this game, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. But because they were protags, they didn't hold my interest. And I gravitated toward two other things. But I also think that Cosmos is a really popular figure in the LGBT plus community, because I see a lot of people who really are drawn to Cosmos.
But and out of the three out of the three that Shion could potentially end up with, I think Cosmos is probably the best option of the three, in my opinion. But that's going into shipping territory, I guess.
Yeah, but all ships are valid. Ship and let ship. And choose your company based on who you can stand. That's my stance.
To be honest, I'm completely neutral as far as Shion Cosmos or Shion Alan goes for. Mm-hmm. But Kevin is totally a toxic relationship, and I'm like, get out of there, girl. But yeah, Alan is just I think it's also a good relationship. It's just at the same time, he's kind of more clumsy and doesn't have a whole lot of self-confidence to fully support her. So I can see where some people are they're not really meant together and it's forceful. But at the same time, I'm kind of well, it kind of also developed a bit toward the story. At the end, Alan kind of pulls his weight a bit, and gets some strength.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely the most healthy / supporting relationship would be more with Cosmos.
So the thing with Alan is that I feel most of the people in the community see Alan in one of two ways. It's either they like Alan and they think, hey, that's great, his character developed, he became a much better person, he became a guy who was finally able to speak up for himself, and I think that's valid. But there's the other side of the community who they kind of don't like Alan, and they kind of see him as just one of those typical guy gets the girls scenario.
Yeah, it's a very nice guy gets the girl scenario, which back in 2003, in its context, you wanted to see Alan improve and do stuff like that. But now that there's a bunch of political subcontext and post Gamergate, post nice guy, all of this other stuff, Alan is getting painted in a pretty bad light, and I think it's being taken way out of context, but that's just me.
Yeah, I've seen people say both, he's a good character for that, but also people who just say he's actually a pretty terrible character because he's just an example of, nice guy, gets the girl. And I've seen valid arguments for both theories, and there's just a lot of ways to interpret it, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I know people who sort of like self-identify as Alan and do a lot of fan fiction writing with Alan, and it's like there are other people than Xion to ship him with, and people tend to forget that. And I think the big fight is over Xion. And as much as I love Xion's not the only character.
Assistant Scott.
Yeah.
Assistant Scott.
I've seen him with Assistant Scott and Tony and Hammer, and there's a whole world out of it. Like I IRP'd once Jarekov with Alan, and it was sweet and weird, but sweet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'll ship and valids. I'm totally neutral. I don't care. So.
All right. Well, let's move on because I think Shion's had enough attention.
Yeah. So next, Junior and Sakura, because I mean, you did have like a lot of moments with her within the UMN whenever like the URTVs would go and try to communicate with her, since she could not communicate in real life. We did cover a bit of that in the URTV episode though, but yeah, I think their interaction were super sweet, and it's also her who pretty much like asked of him to like pretty much take care of her sister, but at the same time I feel like if the circumstance was a bit different, that they could have maybe ended up together, because I mean they were interacting in such a cute way, and like they were very intimate and stuff. It was really cute.
There was that cute moment on the porch swing. That was in episode 2.
That moment. Like the face that Junior does in that moment, I just die.
Yeah,
it's so cute.
That was adorable.
Yeah. But then, like, it can move on to, like, also Junior and Momo, because afterwards, like, pretty much takes care of Momo, but they also get pretty close together, too. And even these two, like, it's super sweet, again, and I just really enjoy their relationship and stuff.
Yeah, so, which for their relationship, I don't know if you guys felt the same, but I kind of felt more like they weren't like exactly a romantic relationship. It was kind of like I wouldn't say sibling, but I don't know.
It's gonna say, I'll protect you, I got this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or,
because I don't know
like,
if it
he
almost
looks out after her, but at the same time, like, there's a part of me that's like, I would ship it because they're so cute.
Yeah, it was a really popular ship back in the day. I didn't do it myself, but there's a lot of, like, with the Junior's interactions with Sakura and Momo, there's a lot left unsaid and undone because of Sakura's premature death, and Momo is basically just like, she's kind of just a child herself, and it would be like within the context of like the story as it progresses live. I don't see anything romantic happening like right away. Like maybe after a couple of years that would be okay by me, but
yeah, except like, they kind of get separated, so
yeah.
Well, at least Momo has like the dog. But okay, yeah, it's a pretty sweet relationship.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Good intention, not
okay.
Toxic.
The next one we kind of covered a lot in the Ziggy episode, but Ziggy and Yuli.
Yeah, and like it's interesting to see them having evolved from both of them being very closed off in the beginning to sort of like along with Momo's help, like Ziggy no longer wants to commit suicide by the end, and like that's a really positive message.
Yeah, like seriously, like I think it's one of the strongest evolution of characters within the games. Like these two, they evolve so much, just like kind of slowly getting together and all that stuff, but also like they go over their struggles together, and just
definitely.
it's really cool. But this was also we mentioned it a bit in the Ziggy episode, like his late wife, and I guess we could also include his little boy to that as well.
Yeah, it's like Ziggy loses a romantic love and a child, and gains both of those back by the end of Xenosaga 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not in the same way.
Just
but,
not in the same way, but yeah, he does.
Yeah, so we can also throw in Ziggy and Momo here too, because it's like, yeah, I really liked how Ziggy, Yuli, and Momo became like a whole new family, even though they all kind of had a very fractured family experience before.
Yeah, pretty much. I think I did also put Ziggy and Voyager, but that's kind of a unhealthy kind of love.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's mostly like, again, a sort of obsessive kind of love thing by a creeper danger guy. But yeah, again, we pretty much covered like most of that in length into the Ziggy episode, so I guess I can invite people to go listen to that one if they want to have the full version of these. But yes, I guess we can move on. Another one that I did put was Chaos and Cosmos / Mary, because he was technically with Mary Madeleine,
right?
I think.
Yeah, that's another big ship from back in the day.
I really love this, and I love how like the first time he pretty much like opened the hatch thing, whatever. Like he's pretty much like, oh, so we finally meet or something. Like he knows her, and it's just like, what? Like my first reaction was pretty much like, you know something that I don't. But we often get these moments with Chaos. But yeah, I just wish they would have showed a little bit more of their past, because
I want more Jesus era.
I was just about to say, like, it's kind of funny how Chaos is. you finally had that one mysterious character who knows more than everybody else in the game. But he's also apparently like best buds with Jesus Christ, which is like, what?
Yeah, I think I've heard it explained as Chaos is Jesus's powers incarnate.
Yeah.
I might be wrong.
No, I've heard that too. He provides the miracles and everything, and then the real Jesus is like just kind of the figurehead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to I used to ship Chaos and Cosmos.
It's a cute ship.
Oh my god, I thought you were going to say you used to ship Chaos and Jesus Christ. I was about to lose my shit laughing. I was like, oh no, he's about to say that.
Well, now I do.
Oh my god.
Tyler, how could you? You know the Alpha ship is Jesus X Judas.
Oh my god. But yeah, because nowadays I feel like because Chaos and Cosmos unfortunately doesn't, I don't know, feel like they have enough screen time together most of the time.
Yeah, it really does seem Chaos is so removed from his humanity that it's really hard to really characterize him, especially with Cosmos also very far removed from her humanity. A little bit comes in at the end, but she's a robot most of the time. So you've got the all-powerful, like, upper domain being attempting to connect with humanity but doesn't connect, and we have this human who is no longer connected to her body, and they're both really interesting and pretty characters, and they do go very well together, but it's extremely hard to characterize, especially if you don't have the interest for it.
Yeah, but it's also because there's a lot of details they don't really show on screen time for us to really, like, see all the details that were pretty much there. We can just, like, pretty much imagine from the little that we saw, like how
Yeah, we need to find
the
a chaos
interaction
expert.
was. Yeah.
We need to find a chaos expert and do a chaos episode.
Oh, definitely. I would.
Yes.
I would like to come in that one if we do. But
I also I kind of see their relationship is kind of similar to like Junior and Momo, Junior Sakura, because Cosmos isn't exactly Mary, and Mary so I think Chaos sometimes is kind of not. I don't want to say standoffish with Cosmos, but he doesn't.
There's another one that's left undone.
Yeah. So but unfortunately there wasn't enough screen time with the two.
Yeah, but I guess we can explore more of that if we do a chaos episode in the future.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
We could analyze everything in depth, but yeah. So next one, Mizrahi and Yuli.
Oh my gosh, I don't know how to contribute to this one.
Yeah. It's sort of like it just happens, and it's a celebrity relationship that it happened off screen, and Yuli talks about it in a very really sassy way. Is weird.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We don't really see much of the screen time, but we know that it happened. But I feel like around the time where Sakura was still alive, that the relationship may have been more healthy, but maybe afterwards it went downhill, because I feel like that's where Mizrahi pretty much lost it and started to go into trying to make his daughter, like a replica of his daughter or something. But I think it was actually already working on Momo he was already working on Momo when Sakura was, having her issues.
Well, because wasn't he originally making Momo to be as like a how do I word this?
A second
sort of
daughter?
Interface for Sakura?
Yeah. So that she would be able to interact with the world through Momo.
Yeah, and it's kind of like I didn't get it as I was playing it, but it's kind of sort of like a metaphor for a couple dealing with a sick child, and what it does to them and what happens to the child. But I just thought about it.
But we also there's also the kind of father-esque thing of toward Momo that we see a bit in episode 3, whenever we see a bit more of the conflict, how Mizrahi was not the monster that everyone was saying about,
Yeah, he was just, he just happened to end up crazy. He didn't mean for bad things to happen.
Yeah, basically. But also you could see that he really cared about, Momo and, basically his family in general. Just he went crazy a little bit because of everything that was happening. But also, he was I feel like he was kind of pushed into, making some things that maybe he did not mean to.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those names that you hear a lot in the series, and he's responsible for a lot of the R&D, the tech, but we don't.
He's not the real responsible,
enough.
At least not fully.
Yeah.
Alright, the next one. Oh boy. Albedo and Junior. I was just well, Albedo, clearly likes Junior a bit too much. But it's more of a brother thing, but at the same time, he's so obsessed over Junior. But then again, Albedo can do nothing that's basically, it's either black or white with Albedo. It's just, there's no middle. So yeah, whenever I do still enjoy the interaction, because it's always
it's very always charismatic.
It's always really funny.
Albedo is very charismatic and very damaged, and I guess I don't have a whole lot that I can say about the URTVs, because they are pro tags, most of them, 2/3 of them. I don't want to drag Albedo, but he does a lot of like stuff that I'm not into.
Yeah.
But in Xenosaga 2, we do get to see a bunch of the stuff that made him who you see him as in the current timeline, and I think a lot of it is, oh, you poor thing, but also, oh God, you did this other thing.
Yeah. But
hands off.
I think
Deal
it's what makes him interesting. But yeah, it's just like every time he gets on screen and he's just pretty much like obsessed with Junior, it just makes me laugh. So,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, their relationship is odd, but I can understand like wanting to be with his twin brother. That I can kind of relate to that. So it's
but at the end of the day, like Albedo, like he got his wish at the very end.
Yeah,
he did quite a bit of a zigzaggy path because of how he was pretty much like corrupted by Hoodoo and all that jazz. But
yeah,
he do get his wish, which is to be with Junior, kind of, because that kind of put his mind at ease. And I guess he's not insane anymore at the end.
Wow.
But yeah, just I find the whole concept of like their relationship pretty interesting, even though it's kind of really hard, like Kat said. But yeah, I thought I would put it there because it's still a relationship that's really in our faces.
Yeah, it's very important. It's important to the series.
Yeah. So next one, Chaos and Junior, their best ball. It's also one of my ships. But yeah, it's just
Chaos and Junior is a very popular ship. Yeah,
but at the same time, like they're, I mean, they always understand each other super well. Like Junior is kind of the one running around being like super hyperactive, and Chaos is kind of his voice of reason. Of like, but he also like Chaos often pretty much just watch and comment. So.
It's
very much.
Oh, go on.
They're very much a partners in crime kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's the way I always see them.
Yeah, it's really nice, and like they have these moments where they're just gonna laugh at the same time at some situation because
it almost it reminds me of like a like Sigurd and Bart's relationship, in a way.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. Except Chaos is a bit more reserved / more calm than Sigurd, but
that's true.
He's still kind of like the voice of reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like whenever Junior takes these books, it's just like, oh, let's just put them back. But yeah, just I thought it was like something important to mention because I was like, they're always like kind of the best ball, the old duration of the games, and I just really love their relationship in general.
Mm-hmm.
So Ganyan and his ladies, as in Mary and Shaylee, basically. We all know that Mary and Shaylee pretty much have a huge crush on Ganyan because they're always next to him in a very kind of thing.
I mean, there is that scene in episode 1 where Mary and Shelley are sleeping together in Guinan's bed, and it's like, what's going on there?
But yeah, there's not much shown on screen, but there's enough to end that. There may be some stuff happening off screen.
Yeah,
it's very obviously poly, but
yeah. They have they have an intense love for Guinan, and that's kind of why it was kind of sad in episode 3 when Guinan, who was being controlled by Yuria, shot Mary. That was really.
Oof, yeah, that part I was just like, no. I was so mad because it was just like, give Guinan back.
Yes. Ugh.
But yeah, Next one, Gaionet Jr. because, I mean, they're pretty much like, well, I guess they don't always...
Definitely brotherly love.
Yeah, brotherly love.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also like, Gaionet is also another voice of reason of Junior. He's always like, please don't do this, don't do that. So it's like brotherly love, but it feels like almost like he's acting like a father because Junior's just all over the place and they're always super rash and stuff. And
yeah,
just
also
yeah,
Gaiden and then Gaiden Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they've been pretending to be father and son for a while anyway.
Yeah, it's funny. But yeah, I just find it interesting how it's like guy is always like, don't fuck up now, like don't do this,
don't fuck up.
and like you pretty much often like ask Shelly and Mary to look after Junior so that doesn't do anything stupid. But yeah, that's pretty much it because I mean there's multiple interactions, but again there's not like too often a whole lot of interaction between these two. Like they just happen once in a while. Because I mean Ganon's often doing all of the paperwork while Junior's going like, yeah, let's shoot some things. Captain Matthews and the sisters. As in, like,
the
the
Seraphim
idol.
Sisters, yeah. I was actually excited to see what the Seraphim Sisters look like because they seemed like they would be a reference to the elements from Xenogears, but they never really showed much afterward.
Well, I guess we can dream.
Totally forgot you were talking about the Seraphim sisters. I thought you were talking about Mary and Shelley, and I was like, what kind of relationship with them?
No.
He owes them money.
I can see that.
It's the money, love. They never really tell us what Captain Matthews' debt is, do they?
Probably a couple of millions. I don't know. I know the debt was really huge.
Or rather, how?
I can't remember if they say how he got the debt.
Oh, I don't remember either. Maybe it's like because they always say like, oh, let's just add it to the tab. So I guess it's maybe like he always like collect the money and always like pretty much get some money from Gaiden, but he never paid back yet.
Yeah, isn't there like a quest where you go to pay back his debt?
Episode 2. Episode 2.
Wasn't it in Xenosaga 1 too?
I don't remember it.
I remember that.
In episode, I remember it in episode 2 because I finished it and my life, it drained so much out of my life.
Did it give anything back?
It gave Jin and a loincloth, the access to X-Buster, which is, like, at that point, what do you need X-Buster anymore for?
Yeah.
And there might have been, like, a double tech attack, but I can't remember. Those are, like, the two main rewards that I can remember, and I just felt so cheated, because it took me...
Maybe you can clear the debt, like, in Saga 1, and then he gets another debt in Saga 2. I wouldn't be surprised.
Nah, that wouldn't be surprising.
No, but I don't fully remember either, because it's kind of fuzzy a bit, the gameplay-wise part. Like, it's been so long, but yeah.
Okay.
So, next one, Chaos and Kanan, because, I mean, they do get a mission together, and they do seem like they understand each other pretty well, or, anyways, in the few scenes they have together.
There is way too little to really say much about them, because I remember them from the beginning of Saga 2.
Yeah. But I feel
it was a great scene, but there's like I didn't really get much out of that.
I feel like there's a mutual respect still, because around the end of 3, like whenever they get that interaction where Kanan is pretty much having his existence crisis, like you pretty much go to Chaos first, but at the same time Chaos is very easy to talk to about these kind of situations. Yeah,
like sometimes I just think of Chaos and Kanan as like those co-workers that work together for a bit, and then now
Exactly.
they meet up again and realize it's like, oh hey, I remember you.
Exactly. That's yeah.
Co-workers.
That's funny way to put it. Alright, next one is a pretty big ship though. Febronia and Virgil. Because, I mean, that's an important ship too. Like, that one's pretty much on her face. I don't even know what to start with it though. It's like, oh god. Because...
Yeah, their relationship is, I mean, for the most part, really tragic.
Yeah.
Because you always wondered at the beginning of episode 1, like how Virgil got his is it DME addiction or?
Yeah, something like that.
Because it's basically an addiction caused by, is it like eating realians or?
Yeah, I think it's eating realian tissue causes some sort of weird addiction.
Yeah, something like that.
But
chemical dependency or something.
And then he has such like a harsh hatred toward realians, but then it turns out that he had quite the relationship with a realian, Febronia, and the reason why he has that addiction is because of that organ transplant he got from a realian.
But still, though, like, they still had a relationship going, even though, like, let's face it, Virgil was very much a Petsunere. But, Fibronia, though, like, she was very patient, and, like, she knew that, like, whenever Virgil was kind of, like, not honest with himself, like, she pretty much knew it, and she would shrug whatever insult else that he would shoot at her, and then he'd be like, why aren't you leaving, like, and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting relationship, even though it does end very tragic. But I'm glad that Virgil do get like kind of a good closure on it and gets to pretty much go with her kind of the after realm or something.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the church scene was definitely tragic, and you can kind of, I guess, because he has an intense hatred of realians, but I guess that scene kind of, because I can't remember if he was racist against realians before that moment, or if it was triggered mostly by that moment.
I think he already was, but it was mostly because I think maybe it was a bit, but maybe not as much as after the conflict, because of how like all the realities started to go berserk.
And they killed Febronia.
Yeah, and that's where he started to go and hate them, I think, because of that. But I think Febronia was pretty much like the biggest exception. Oh, that next one, like, it was also a bit Shion related. Like, the relationship of Febronia, Cecilia, and Kate toward Shion, but I guess that was kind of, like, scraped over in the other epistles too a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's also, like, an interesting relation where Febronia would pretty much... Well, Shion was pretty close to Febronia, Cecilia, and Kate when she was younger, and Febronia pretty much asked her to save her sisters and stuff like that, and it's all very tragic and stuff. But overall, like, I think I wish they would have showed a bit more of Cecilia and Kate, though, because it's just like, oh, young Shion was friends with them, but we never saw them because I guess they weren't I guess they were already like connected to that Zohar thing, but it's all weird.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's another one of those instances where it'd be nice if there's a little bit more development, or just a tiny bit more.
All right, the next one is all yours, Kat. Cherenkov and Margulis.
I've been waiting all night for this. there's several ways to really view their relationship. I've heard a couple people be like, oh, like, it's obviously, like, paternal, and I'm like, no, because Cherenkov's problem is that he doesn't perceive the love that he needs from anyone. Like, he obviously looks up to Margulis, but ultimately is sort of, like, not betrayed, but he like, there was never anything, like, I think just aside from personal betrayal.
I feel he sees Margulis as an idol kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's just like, holy shit, you saved me when I was going to get killed. Okay, let's do whatever. But also, Cherenkov's agency, like, throughout the entire series, is completely null. Like, he's always only around to serve somebody else. And I think, the only, like, positive interaction that he gets is when Margulis is in the phase of building him up. What really sucks is that when he's, like, abandoned, more or less, on the Woglinde, and the aftermath afterward. Like, it is my number one ship, OTP forever, but I also recognize that there's a lot of toxic parts to it. I think about it a lot, and, like, I think about it a lot, guys, but, like, I like to imagine that there is a chunk of, alternate universe world where they can, like, work it out. Like, Margulis is obviously involved with a highly religious organization. Like, in my head, I want him to, like, break from it and just, like, okay, we're just gonna go off into space and, like, grow flowers or something. Bye! But Margulis is also, like, over-involved in all these plots with Ormus, and, like, Cherenkov is always only just a tool of his. So
Yeah,
the fact that Cherenkov has any feelings for Margulis at all, functionally, Margulis should not care as a professional person. But too bad. And I guess we can sort of segue into Cherenkov's bad quote-unquote family.
The way I wrote it's because of that one scene.
The garbage family. And
that one scene is so funny. It's just like, garbage.
Yeah, it's funny that that particular scene though, with that word connects Ramses and Cherenkov to each other. I don't think they use the same word in Japanese because I asked Pure about it. But like, it sort of like hit me like a bolt of lightning. And, like, holy shit, this guy, like, Cherenkov has a lot of similar traits to Ramses, but he has nothing. Like, he has no girls, he has no, original elements.
No, he was always just used, basically.
Yeah, so it's just basically kind of like Ramses, but with nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Margulis is his Miang.
Yeah, pretty much. I also sort of think of his wife, whoever her name is, also as Miang.
Yeah.
Because she is the original garbage. No, wait, is she the original garbage sayer, or is that the daughter?
The daughter said garbage.
Okay.
Yeah, the clone daughter.
Yeah, but it still counts as her because it's a clone of her.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, because that's all she wanted out of that relationship.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, oh jeez, that, like, I think a lot about, Mrs. Cherenkov, and, there was actually a playthrough of Fallout 4 that I started, because the protag in Fallout 4, is a lawyer, and I was like, oh, I know what I could do. And I started a playthrough as Mrs. Cherenkov. I was going to be like one of those like redemptive AU things, like maybe she's good this time. And but then Xenoblade X came out, and I never finished Fallout 4, so that never really became a thing.
So Mrs. Cherenkov is never going to be redeemed.
Nope.
Which she doesn't deserve to be redeemed.
Nope. Alrighty, yeah. Do you guys have any words? Because I've talked too much.
You're good.
You're good.
I mean, it's definitely another example of a very, very toxic relationship. And I think she might have even seen him more as a tool than Margulis, because I felt like Margulis, like when he heard that Cherenkov died, he did have that little moment of silence.
Yeah, he emoted.
Yes,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that Mrs. Cherenkov definitely used Cherenkov more as a tool than Margulis did.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I feel like Margulis still had like a good amount of respect toward Cherenkov, even though he was using him. But at the same time, like, you could see that there was a sort of respect kind of thing ongoing still. But yeah, I guess, should we move to the next one? Should I leave that one to you as well, Kat?
Sure.
Margulis and Jin.
Yeah. Alright, so Margulis and Jin is very interesting because it sort of like plays back on something from FF6 that stuck in my head. In FF6, there is a character named... Oh, crap, I forgot his name. But he's in something. He's in Sabin's storyline, and he's the son of the martial artist that taught Sabin martial arts, and it's sort of like there was this like rivalry between Sabin and that guy whose name I don't remember, and that's sort of like I want to say, let me Google it.
Yeah, I can't remember that person either, because as soon as you said FF6, I'm like, who are you talking about? Like, where are you going with this? Okay.
I'll find it.
But yes, so martial artist. Yes, look that up, because I want to know where you're going with this one.
Because there's martial arts involved. Mount Cults. Vargas. His name is Vargas.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's the groundwork for there's a couple of people coming up. There is a martial artist with two pupils. One of them is his blood relation and one of them is not. And they sort of like, I see this trope taken and rewritten several times, like since FF6, like into Xenogears a little bit. They kind of do it with Stein and Jesse, but it's very prominent in Xenosaga with Margulis and Jin. Only this time, the bad guy is the one who isn't related to the teacher. So, I think Shion and Jin's grandfather, his name is Oga Uzuki, and he did sword stuff he did sword stuff, and Jin was learning it because it was a family thing. But right. Also, I don't know where Margulis came into the picture to have interacted with the Uzukis in any capacity, but he walked into it and was this pupil, and I think I remember reading or hearing something that the grandfather was betrayed somewhere along there, and Margulis is running around with all this knowledge that shouldn't belong to him. And Jin should be a lot more angry at Margulis, but for some reason he's not. But I guess that's what makes him a protag. But yeah, I'm trying to think. This is very... Jin and Margulis is very...
It's very rival-esque. Yes,
very... it's also very obvious.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's very, very obvious. Like, I asked Pure if Margulis is as gay as he sounds in English as he does in Japanese, and he said that Margulis has a very unapologetic way of speaking, but not really. But like in the English translation, Margulis's final words to Jin are very like was like, you don't say that kind of stuff to somebody who's like just your friend. Like, okay, dude. It's like, I think I don't remember the words exactly, but it's like, Jin, you're exceptional. Something, something, something. Now I'm dead.
I could add a clip around here.
Yeah.
Jin, you are exceptional. But your strength means that you will always be alone in this world. You've cast aside the few people who understood you by your own hands. Now, there's no one left who understands you.
I kind of like tie it in with Pellegrini as well, because Jin and Pellegrini had a relationship, and didn't she get stolen away by Margulis? Or
it's she left of her own accord,
Mm-hmm.
and Jin thought that she was stolen. It sort of like becomes Pellegrini's like more heel turn, because you find out actually Pellegrini's a lot scarier than you initially thought.
Mm-hmm.
It's which I find very interesting, because the easy route would be to be like, oh yes, I love Margulis more than you, even though you're the one who doesn't look like the guy from the wall.
I was gonna say that maybe Margulis took Pellegrini away as a kind of a, if I can't get with you, I'll just get with the person that you like kind of way. But I guess that theory's out the window.
Yeah.
No. We're not gonna have any phantom blood in here.
I'll take your kiss, your first kiss.
Are we going to a JoJo reference now?
Yes, okay.
Yes.
This is me, Dio!
Okay.
Woo.
Okay, we'll wait for Jin to revive.
He needs to respawn.
Okay. The
I
next
think
one on the list.
ending thought on Jin X Margulis. It's very like bara manly, because like you both end up with the male bathing suits.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. But the next one, I don't know if we should do it because it's kind of a weird territory, but I guess I'm still gonna mention it because it's another thing that's pretty much in our faces. Albino and the Crash Forcers.
Oh boy.
Oh, I mean,
Definitely abusive there. Definitely there.
I mean, it all stems back to Sakura, and it's so weird, because
I know, it's very like the uncomfortable like kind of things that Albino does.
I mean, because I see that their relationship is different from whose angle we're going at, because if we're going through Albedo, he sees them as Sakura, and I guess, but then if we see it from Kirschwasser's perspective, they love him unconditionally, which is so messed up. And
I wonder what he had to do to them to make them like that.
Well, because Kirschwassers were basically the prototype to Momo, so everyone had their attention on Momo, so no one really saw them, but Albedo gave them the attention that they never got, which is it would have been nice if Albedo wasn't so goddamn creepy about it.
Well, yeah, he's a manipulative jerk.
Yeah,
he's gonna exploit that.
Yeah, the relationship is kind of. I mean, it's really interesting and kind of more fleshed out in the anime, which is weird to give the anime praise for something, but.
Yeah, I hear that they do something with the Curious Foster that is interesting, but I haven't seen it, so.
Well,
I don't quite remember because it's been too long.
Well, we'll definitely need to have our Xenosaga anime night one of these days.
Yeah, Katsukon 2020. But aside after that, that one we pretty much covered in the Ziggy episode, like Lactus, Kanan, and Ziggy. Like, that was pretty much covered. It's mostly, like, the thing where, I guess Kanan would have seen, like, Ziggy as a fatherly figure a bit, but I don't know.
But yeah, we already...
Yeah, we pretty much covered that in the Ziggy episode. Mary, Shelley, and Junior, we kind of covered that earlier, saying they're pretty much like keep him from trouble or try to. But it's also Mary that's always like, "Oh, little master." Nephilim and Chaos. That's also kind of an interesting one. It's like both of them know more stuff than others do, and they just kind of. They kind of sit in the corner from time to time, talking and paraphrasing, giving all these mysterious thing there that you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, they just sit there with their cryptic conversations.
Yeah.
I like to think that's just when they talk to each other, they talk about how can we confuse the players.
Yeah, they're kind of breaking the fourth wall kind of thing.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of that scene where in episode 3 where Shion just gets tired of Nephilim's bullshit and just like, you're not helping. Stop being cryptic.
But also I do like the conversations that are a bit less cryptic, like that one time where they pretty much mentioned how Shion is not ready yet or something like that. Like, that's something we can think a bit more about, but at the same time we don't fully have the details, so we're like, what are they talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So it's still cryptic, but a bit less, but yeah. I do still enjoy because I always enjoy kind of mysterious characters, so I do still enjoy those kind of bait that they throw at me, and I'm just like, what is this? What is this? Give me more. You know? But, yeah. That, as far as it goes, is also like another kind of relationship that we don't fully see much of, but it's just there.
Okay.
But also as a Nephilim kind of connected to the spirit of Mary-ish thing. I don't know, it's kind of weird. But yeah.
Alright. Yeah,
I guess the only one we did not mention in this. Did you want to say something?
Oh no, go on.
The only one left, but that's not exactly fully love, but I guess it's more of a tool.
Yeah,
like, while him and his crew, but yeah. Just...
Nah, that's not love. I wouldn't. I
was just trying to plug Wilhelm somewhere, but I was just like, well,
yeah,
Wilhelm
okay,
doesn't love anyone. Or
okay, I have a Wilhelm thing.
Yes.
There are two pairings that I've seen in the past for them. One of them is Wilhelm and Chaos. The other one is
I could see
Wilhelm
that.
and Cosmos, or Mary.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that sort of like puts him into the Krellian paradigm with that.
But then again, with Chaos, I could really see it. It's just, we don't see much interaction, but we can see that they know of each other, and they know, like, each one purpose, and there's pretty much that scene that always stuck with me where he's like, oh, you're finally coming to the final stage, kind of thing. It's just, that part always gets to me. Even though, like, I'm always like, Chaos, how the crap are you outside, in space, on top of the ship? But whatever, you're Jesus, it's okay.
He's Jesus, he can do it.
Yeah, Chaos and Wilhelm's relationship was kind of... It was weird, but
It's another cryptic thing.
Like,
yeah, they're both obviously equals.
Yeah.
But... like, I never wrote for them myself, and I never really researched anything because it seemed too difficult for me, but, like, both of them are very, like, I have a hard time characterizing them because they don't emote a lot. Like, there's nothing that, emotionally drives either of these characters that really stood out to me, but, like, I know a couple of people that's, like, Wilhelm and Chaos were their thing, and it was a thing, and I don't, It was a thing, and there it is.
So yeah, I guess this pretty much close all of the Xenosaga stuff we had written. So people who have not played Xenosaga, it's safe to come back now.
But people who have not played Xenoblade, get out.
Xenoblade 1, let's specify, because some people played some and some people did not play others. But so yeah, Xenoblade 1. Yay! So the first one I did right was Mainet. I can't pronounce her name. Mainet? There you go.
Maineth.
and Eagle. Because I find like there was a sort of a very high respecting for higher being kind of thing, and I thought it was kind of interesting. Although, to be honest, Xenoblade 1, like, I've seen the old plot only maybe once, so there's a lot of details that are just, they pretty much poofed out of my head. So
so Lady Mayna, she's basically like a god in the eyes of the people of the Mechonis.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, that it makes sense for Eggle to kind of have some sort of worship and respect for her, and you see that in a lot of scenes.
Yeah, but there's also I think it also ties a bit with the relationship he has with his sister, kind of thing. Like, his sister kind of tried to stop him because he's going a bit berserk. And Maynard and all this is kind of like trying to be a bit more on the side of Fiora, since she's pretty much inside of her or something. But
yeah, and like I think the thing with Eggle that I noticed when I played, it's been a while for me too, is Eggle is sort of deriving his own interpretation of what Maineth wants rather than asking her himself.
Yeah.
It's sort of like ambiguous whether or not Maineth is considered a living god or not, because like Maineth doesn't move around a whole lot because she's also Mechonis herself. So when Eggle goes to war against the people of Bionis, he does so sort of like without her blessing. We don't really get like the details of it, but like with Vanea breaking off and undermining him, like her, I don't remember why, but Vanea can get through to the true Maineth, but Eggle can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's also kind of a interesting theme with people of one of the Titans kind of like not necessarily knowing what, how do I put this?
What's inside of them or something?
Okay, yeah, like Shulk, for example. Shulk didn't really know Zanza's true intentions throughout most of the game. And you can kind of say that about Eggle as well. He didn't know Maineth's intentions either. And so Shulk kind of goes to the Mechonis with this mentality of, hey, I just want to kill these guys. They're just evil. There's nothing good about them. And then you kind of find out that
it's not the case.
Maineth is, there's kind of a whole other perspective that nobody's considering here.
Yeah, and it's pretty much like everyone was pretty much a victim of like other people. But yeah, that's as far as the plot goes. Like, it's just, like I said, everyone was victim to basically Sansa and the plot in general.
Right.
And like nobody was really evil to begin with, except maybe Sansa. But even Sansa, I think, is just he kind of went a bit mad, but don't feel it was necessarily like fully evil. It was just like different perspective.
Well, yeah, but also you kind of say that when you take Xenoblade 2's ending into account. Spoilers, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm also pretty sure that Mumkar is pretty damn evil.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Mumkar, he kind of ran on his own agenda He didn't really care about anything else. He was just like, yeah,
He
I
does
just
care.
want
He
this.
did care about that man, though.
At some point, and then he stopped.
Yeah.
Should we talk about that one because it was also
Sure.
nice? Nice
Sure.
as well.
Yeah. It was like Dunban and Mumkar are another sort of like Jin and Margulis-ish pair.
Yeah.
With the thing being that Mumkar is much less of a gentleman than Margulis is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like it's a lot it's a lot more fun to see the hero be the gentleman in this case and have the villain be as dark as he can be. Like Mumkar is like completely without refinement. He's a great villain because all you do is hate him.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he doesn't really have much of a reason to do what he does. He's just like, nah, I just don't like him. I'm just gonna throw him under the bus.
Yeah, just like the thing is that Dunban, when Dunban and Mumkar were friends, it sort of implied that people were really super drawn to Dunban, and Mumkar was just sort of like along for the ride. And when Dunban got the Monado, Mumkar became extremely jealous and just wanted it. And then just like, okay, it's downward from here.
Right.
Yeah. pretty
And
much.
and with that in mind, it's like you could probably say that like Mumkar didn't really care about the Monado itself. It was just more so having something that he can one up. Mumkar didn't really care about the Monado itself. He just wanted something that can let him one up Dunban. I almost said Jin for some reason.
Oh god! Well, Dunban is kind of the Jin.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So I guess we should go with like pretty much the main ship of this thing, Shulk and Fiora. But you guys did cover a bit of that in the Melia episode, but
Yeah, Shulk and Fiora. I really like that. I like that pairing. Yes, it's the very cliche main character, main girl pairing.
but they're cute.
But I actually
Childhood friends.
really like how it. I like how that particular pairing panned out. I actually found it a little bit relatable on a personal note. But I really liked the whole. There's this childhood friend, right? But unfortunately, there's so much that Shulk couldn't bring himself to say to her. And then there's a whole thing with her dying, and then that becomes a whole thing. You kind of see this whole other side of Shulk that comes out. Because you meet Shulk, he's just very much this soft-spoken guy. He's very intelligent, he's well-respected, but he's not really great at expressing his feelings. And then this happens with Fiora, and all of that just comes out at once.
Yep.
And I always thought that was really, really interesting. And then when they come back, I like that again because he has Fiora back, but it's different. There's always something different between the two of them. It's not the exact same relationship that they had before. And even though they try really hard to kind of bring it back to it, but there's still that slight disconnect there. And that's why I really like this particular pairing, even though it is technically a cliche pairing. I did think that Xenoblade 1 did some things to make it a little bit more interesting than it otherwise would have been.
Yeah,
It's definitely a vanilla ship, but it doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, should we go with the the next one? Although the next one you guys kind of covered.
Yeah, we already.
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
we could do it real quick. Shulk and Melia. I mean, we've spoken about that quite a bit in the Melia episode, which is worth listening to. Yeah, and it's interesting because you could say that's one-sided love, but is it really though? Because at some points it almost does seem like, I guess like Shulk does kind of warm up to Melia in some parts.
Yeah.
Based on how, and I guess it's all dependent on how much hope he has for getting Fiora back at that point.
And I think the further you go into the story and Fiora is back, the more sad Melia becomes about it. And it's just like, obviously I can't have this thing anymore. How do I deal with this? This is happening now in real time. And she doesn't really get the chance to slow down and process anything. So she just like bottles it up.
And And that's why I've said before that, like, I think Melia is such an interesting character, such a great character, because you could see just how much she's holding back in so many of the cutscenes. And it's done in, like, such a stupidly simple way. It's like, there's cutscenes where they pan to Melia and she just tilts her head down. And it's like, it's such a simple thing, but it says so much.
Yeah, it really does.
Or like the scene where Shulk and Fiora are like holding hands and they pass Melia by and she just has that really dumbstruck look on her face, and it's just
And then there's that other I believe this is an optional scene where it's later on where it was that part of the game where like Shulk was kind of reduced to like a shell basically, and he was just like a corpse, and they're trying to like bring him back. And if you play as Melia and walk up to Shulk, there's like an optional scene where Melia kind of just basically confesses her feelings to him, and I think it's like almost implied that she kisses him, but the game doesn't really like go all the way on it.
That's cute.
I don't remember that, but I believe you.
Yeah, I gotta find it because I'm probably mixing some things up, but I remember there was a scene like that somewhere. But I could find that and send it.
Sounds good. So, I guess the next one would be Melia and Kaylee.
Which is
But I just find this brother-sister relationship to be super cool. Like,
yeah, he's basically one of the only positive things in her previous life, or rather, the life that happened before she hung out with Shulk.
Yeah. Him and her dad, too, because they were both very, very supportive of her. It was just, unfortunately, her mom was just really toxic and terrible.
Well, it's actually not her mom, it's her stepmom.
Yeah, her stepmom, yes, right.
But, like, her being Callion's mom and, like, the one that's there. She's basically, like, she's the princess, the upcoming empress, but she's treated like a scullery maid. Like, she would have had a better life if she weren't royalty.
Yeah, but it's also because she's half-blood and all that stuff, and they're like, meh. But
it's very good that Callion treats her properly, because there are just so few people in her life that do, and I think
Callion is a sweetheart.
Yeah.
I just really love the character in general. Like, it hurts so much though whenever he turns. I'm just like, no.
Yeah, and it's like something tragic has to happen to this guy. He's too good.
Yeah, basically, and I was so sad because he was legit one of my favorite characters. So I was just like, no. But just definitely a very good brother and character in general. Looking out for his sis. So,
can I add something here?
Sure.
Okay, so missing from this list was Melia and Dunban, and I think it's one of my favorite pairings, but I've heard people accuse it of like pairing the spares, but also
go ahead if you want to have it. Like I said, like there's a bunch of interaction in Blade 1 that I forgot, so
you're good.
Just go ahead.
But yeah, Dunban is kind of like the most refined in the party aside from Melia.
Yeah.
And like they connect in places, probably not to the extent that Melia starts feeling for Shulk. But there is a spark there, and Dunban does talk a lot about living in the palace after everybody goes home, and I have sort of like this bud of a fanfic that I've never written where like Dunban swears to Melia to be around always, but she never accepts him romantically, and he dies without like being accepted by her, and like on his deathbed she's like, I do love you, but I've never written that. It just like just lives in my head. It's a bit of flash fiction, and now you're all sad.
Aw.
But yeah, I do agree that this is a relationship that's also interesting. It's mostly like mutual respect and stuff, and well, Dunban, like you said, he's kind of like the figure that everyone looks up to in the
He's
group.
a senpai.
Yeah, he's a senpai. He's a senpai of the group. But yeah, I guess Sharla and Juju, like brother and sister, but then again, that there's not that many interactions except like at the beginning that Juju appears. But like you can see how much Sharla pretty much like cares for her brother, and like her brother pretty much like tries to do stupid shit. But we do save his butt at least. At least. But yeah. But at the same time, yeah, I think it's interesting whenever that's introduced. Like, it's a good way to introduce Colony 9. Was 9, right?
Yeah, 9 was.
Yeah.
I have
Colony 6.
Colony 6. 9 was the main one. See, I have bad memory with names. But yeah, that's what it's kind of briefly mentioned, because it's mostly like we have a couple of scenes and that's pretty much it. And then Juju is left in the background. But I guess that also connects though to Shala and Gato. Hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah, Gato.
But yeah, these two, like they have a relationship that was very intimate, apparently. Just we did not see too many of it, but
Yet another off-screen romance.
Yeah.
yeah. But still, like he stayed behind to pretty much protect people, and he got taken over because of that.
And it's implied that Juju kind of looked up to Gadalt, and Gadalt was like really, really kind to him as well, which is probably what made Charlotte like him even more. And that's why, I guess this leads into our next pairing. That's kind of why Charlotte really likes Rhine or Rain, or how is it Rhine or Rain? Rhine. Yeah, I've always said Rhine, but at first people say Rain, so I don't know. Yeah, so I guess that's kind of why she really likes Rhine, because she sees Gadalt in him.
Yeah.
Which makes that relationship kind of questionable, because you start to wonder if she really likes him, or is it just like a rebound? Exactly.
Yeah, it's super reboundy.
Yeah, and she's just kind of like, oh wow, he reminds me of my dead boyfriend. Oh, I want him now.
Not only your dead boyfriend, but your boyfriend who may be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
That's terrible.
Yeah, I know, Charlotte and Rain, I don't care for that relationship too much.
Yeah,
and like, and whenever the game tried to imply that those two would get together, were among the cringier moments of that game's story for me, because it just kind of felt very rushed, very tacked on. And part of the reason for that is because Charlotte doesn't get enough screen time herself. She doesn't get a whole lot of character development, and it's unfortunate because I think her relationship and Ryan's relationship they kind of suffer for that, and her relationship with Melia suffered with that too, because there's a few scenes where she tries to kind of like egg Melia on and encourage her to pursue Shulk, but nothing comes of that.
Yeah, it comes off very catty and sort of like detracts from her character, which sucks.
So I think like both of those pairings, like, and those relationships would have had a lot more meaning and weight to them had Charlotte been given more character development, more time, and just more screen time in general.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, like, it's the kind of relationship that, like, if it had more screen time, it would have more impact, kind of thing.
For sure.
It did not, kind of. But yeah, so, sadly, a few characters get like the short end of the stick. Good. Continue.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think like of the Xenoblade 1's cast, Sharla she's kind of the Rico.
Yeah, a little bit.
In it's a sense.
Oh, we introduced you because of like the plot and the new area, and then it's like we pushed you on the side. Bye-bye.
And then she's only really relevant because of Gaddle.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, Charlotte, I think she is one of the weaker members of Xenoblade 1's cast, just because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So should we move to the next one? Fiora and Dunban, but that's more like brother and sister again. Yeah, basically Fiora takes care of him like at the beginning because he can't really move his arm, and he kind of gets like to Shulk afterwards, being that senpai figures, and later on, I'm trying to remember like what happens where. I'm just like so confused in my head, but later on, I think that's whenever like Fiora comes around again, like he kind of has like a few moments too where he's kind of a bit emotional about it and stuff, but he's not fully showing it because he's trying to be the senpai.
One of my favorite moments with Dunban, it was the whole "I won't cry" thing. I think that's probably one of the best lines in the whole game, and that's something that really like strikes a chord with me personally. But like, one thing that I like about Dunban is he's very protective of Fiora. He obviously really, really, really cares for her, and it speaks volumes that he trusts Shulk with her.
Yeah, but yeah, you can see though that he had emotions that he was bottling up, but he was just like keeping it strong because he was like the senpai of the figure.
Yeah, that's why like in that scene where Fiora dies, and then they pan to Dunban's face, and he's got that like, oh shit look. It means something.
Yeah. He's like, oh shit look, but I gotta get it together because they're looking up to me. It's just, but yeah. It's definitely like another relationship that's pretty fun, but also kind of doesn't have too many like front side, like from pretty much screen time. Like it, because the screen time is often more about Fiora and Shulk, and Dunban is often, I feel, more like, I'm just gonna leave them alone kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think Dunban, as a reprise to Jin Uzuki, and Fiora sort of like, Fiora definitely isn't Shion, but she is the Shion like within that metaphor. I think it's sort of like, oh good, a implied Uzuki siblings that get along, and it was good. It was good to see.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I guess we kind of got into that already, the Dunban and Shulk. That was a bit weird, but Alvis and Shulk, because it's just like, it feels like Alvis has more of a kind of, sorry, go ahead.
It's alright. Alvis and Shulk is a big ship. Just gonna say that there.
Well, I mean, the first scene he appears is just like, what? I'm sorry, it's just so gay.
And like Alvis is very akin to Chaos and a little bit of wave existency.
My first reaction when I saw him, I was like, oh my god, it's older Chaos. I'm totally into that. But yeah. I definitely find it interesting. Like, he's mostly like a bit like Chaos, like, I'm gonna watch on the side and not do much, but he still does a bit more than what Chaos does. like sometimes he take one side or another, but he's kind of neutral, but he's mostly doing it so you can see, like, I feel like the whole time he's trying to see, like, where Shulk is gonna go. Like, he's kind of interested in seeing, like, the plot go kind of thing. He feels like a bit like a fourth wall character. But that's the feeling it gave me anyways. What about you guys?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's just trying to be mysterious. And
yeah.
He's kind of a sit down and enjoy the show kind of guy.
Yeah, but I do enjoy characters like that, like I said.
Yeah. I don't know if I see it as any type of love, though.
Yeah, I feel like it's more of a, I'm interested in you. I'm just gonna keep watching because it's interesting, you know.
Mm.
But yeah, Dixon and Dunban. That one.
I suppose Dixon would be the senpai of the senpai, but I think it's more like familial love between the two until the whole like betrayal thing.
Yeah, basically, it's just, I thought I would put it there still because it's just like, I mean, so much happens, but I say like so little happens. It's just I'm not quite sure how to put it, but at the same time, it's kind of still in her face kind of relationship. Like they feel like good friends until the betrayal happens. Like it feels like they have a big mutual trust to each other, or at least until we find out that Dixon is a traitor. And yeah, I don't know. I thought I would put it there mostly as friendship kind of relationship. Shulk and Dixon also are kind of related in the way that Dixon pretty much is like the one that found Shulk and the Venado.
Yeah.
And I feel like Shulk was looking up to him a lot. A bit.
Yeah.
Not fully as a father, but almost. I'm not sure. Like, or maybe as another senpai.
Yeah, I think it's very like Shulk sees Dixon as just about his father.
Yeah.
It's not in like ingrained. Shulk isn't talking about Dixon like consistently. It seems like there's like definitely a positive relationship there. So like a lot of other IPs, there's like problems with like it's the kid who doesn't like his father. It's like, no, I hate my dad. So like the kid is always going on about how much they hate their dad. So the plot becomes about how much they hate their dad. But Dixon treats Shulk properly, and it's extremely tragic when he shoots him and kills him. And it turns out that he's been like just
pretty much
shepherding this body to be the host for his true master.
Yeah. It's like, okay, your time has come, bitch. Basically. But yeah, that's what makes it so interesting, because for a while you're like, oh, this guy's very nice. And then you're like, this guy's getting suspicious. What the hell? And then it's like, what?
But that's also what made the fight between Shulk and Dixon later on in the game carry so much weight in the cutscene that happened right afterwards.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, I remember that cutscene being quite shocking. It's just like, whoa, this is a lot to take in.
Because that goes back to what you were just saying about how Dixon does care for Shulk.
Yeah, he does.
Like, they do have a positive relationship despite all this other stuff happening. There still is an example. It's a weird one because like usually you have like those characters fighting their fathers or their mentors, and it's like an obvious thing that their mentors are evil and they always have that kind of resentment towards them. But this is a situation where no, they actually had a decent relationship, but unfortunately there's all this other stuff going on that's causing Dixon to turn on Shulk, and you know Shulk has to fight him.
Yeah. Yes. It's really like something, that part. So, next one. Ricky and his family.
Ricky.
There's a meme going around, and it's Ricky fucks. He has 10 kids.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to find out that Ricky's not only like 40 years old, but he has like a wife and like, yeah, as you said, 10 kids. And,
yeah, it's crazy.
And the reason why he's a hero pawn is to pay off the debt his family incurs through eating so much food.
Yep.
So
I guess that's love.
Yeah, that is the kind of love.
But also, like, Ricky's a very interesting character, too. Like, I feel like he's often, like, the one that a lot of people kind of go to confess, like, their troubles too, and he's always like, "Don't worry, everyone, Ricky got it," or something. I don't know.
Yeah, especially him and Melia. Yeah, especially him and Melia had a really nice relationship.
Yeah.
That was so sad when Colleen died, and Ricky has that whole thing when he says that whole Ricky not see bird. What did he say? Oh, what was the line? He's like, Ricky not see bird person, but feels him, or something like that.
Oh. Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Your words will stay with me forever.
His words?
Oh, Ricky heard. Ricky heard Melly's brother. Callian say, hope of bird people. Where Melly's brother? Oh, Ricky not see him, but Ricky hear him.
Ricky. You too heard his parting words. Thank you.
So, do we add more on Ricky, or is that it?
I have another thing that was left off the list.
Alright, go ahead.
Alright, so Zanza and Maineth.
Oh, yeah, I totally forgot that one.
Yeah, it's
How could I?
It's all good. It's I consider it as prominent as Shulk and Fiora, honestly.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
we don't get a whole lot of Klaus and I guess Maineth in Xenoblade 1, but like when you press the button and become the god of a new world, you don't just become the god of a new world with somebody that you don't super care for, you know? Just like it's obvious that Klaus had a lot of feelings for Maineth there.
Yeah.
And like it's I don't do a whole lot of like Klaus stuff, but it's there.
Yeah, it's definitely there, and I mean, it's just at the same time, like, Zanza is a bit of, like, as we've learned later in another thing that I won't mention because we're currently in Blade 1,
Yep.
like, he's kind of like a version that's a bit, like, going insane, and
Yeah,
going
like
with, like,
Zanza.
super big ambitions and stuff, while Maynard
Yeah.
kind of kept her kind of cool, kind of kind-ish spirit towards stuff.
Yeah, and like Zanza is sort of Klaus at his worst,
Yeah.
and like the power that he's given with him at his worst is completely destructive,
Mhm.
and
Correct.
he seems almost irredeemable. But I guess I'll leave it off there.
Well, yeah, and that kind of is it on the list? No, it's not on the list. So that kind of goes into like Xenoblade 2, because this is why Xenoblade 2 is really interesting, because you see Zanza and it's just like this clear cut. Yeah, he's a villain, and you kind of see Klaus and you just think he's just this mad scientist doing dumb stuff and just creating this world that he's just going to destroy. Like, wow, he's a jerk. But when you see Xenoblade 2,
I was
and then you
trying
find
not
out that-
to go there right away, though, in case.
yeah, I know, but unfortunately, because we've all played that, it's like, you can't not mention it.
Yeah, like yeah.
But when you play Xenoblade 2 and you find out that there's a little bit more to that story than we thought,
Yeah.
and he ended up making 2 worlds, and essentially, Klaus is basically split into 2, and you have this weird duality of
Mm-hmm.
one where he's trying to help the world, and one where he's trying to destroy the world.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
Xenoblade 1 world is one where he's trying to destroy it. That's why that game's a lot darker, it's a lot more bleak, and then Xenoblade 2 is a happier world because he's actively trying to make it flourish.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Hmm. So this is part 1 of our love episode. Stay tuned. We'll hopefully return next time and discuss love within Xenoblade X and Xenoblade 2. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Have a good night.
Stay tuned.
Cold fire clench to my